I think those of us who are in the practice of producing open data have gotten a little smug, a little self-congratulatory about our work. We tend to think that once we have produced that CSV file or that JSON file or created that API, that our work is done. There's going to be a time not real far off from now that the work that we're doing now will look very crude. That we're not providing the proper structure to the data. We're not using common standards. I mean, there are very few common standards that even exist for the most common types of data that are stored in data repositories, and not many of us are working to improve that. There's so much that we need to do to make this data beyond existing and to actually make it useful to where it fits into the workflow of how cities and states and countries and businesses function. And until we get to that point, this is all a lot of fun, but perhaps not very useful. We're just getting to the point where we have anecdata, multiple anecdotes about the impact of open data, but we do tend to repeat the same stories at conferences. I'll be really glad when we can stop talking about weather data and the GPS system. Those are the examples that we keep giving over and over again. You know, the GPS system went into place in the 90s. Weather data as we know it really went into place in the 1970s. We need so much more impact to show the value of our work, and it hasn't happened yet. A big change that we need to see has very little to do with the work that those of us in the open data field do or can do. We need to see demand for this data from powerful sources. We need to see that government at all levels are requiring open data from government at lower levels as a requirement for funding so that they can understand what's being done. We need to see that big consulting shops like PricewaterhouseCoopers are demanding this data from government so that they can properly forecast trends and provide advice to their clients about what's happening on the ground through that data. Until we go from pushing open data and arguing for its use to a model of it being pulled out of governments by eager consumers of it, we're not going to have a sustainable system. Open data success means that a new president can come into office in a couple of years, and we don't worry that open data on a federal level will disappear, which is what could happen right now. It could go away because open data exists on the whim of the Obama presidency on a federal level. And I don't have any confidence that the next president will decide to continue that program. So we have a ticking clock to get to the point where, of course, the next president will continue the open data program. And of course, Congress would pass the sort of laws to require it and the funding to make sure that it continues to exist. That's where we need to get. I think there are two areas where open data can make a really big difference in quality of life. Health data is a frequently cited example. There's certainly a lot to be done with mass medical and health and research data to literally improve the quality of people's living. And then also transportation, not just transit, but transportation data generally. I know the difference it makes in my life when Google Maps tells me to get off 95 at the next exit. I listen to it even if I think I'm driving another 300 miles on 95 because it's routing me around a traffic jam. That's wonderful. That makes a big difference in my life. We need an entire dynamic transit and transportation system that's based on this, that reroutes everybody intelligently so those traffic jams don't happen in the first place. I think those are going to be two real wins for quality of life.